Hello, everybody. This is your girl Belinda. One more time, welcome back to my show. Today's guest is Alex Jean Baptiste, and I'm so looking forward to hearing his health journey, and I'm sure you are too. So we're gonna get straight to it. So, Alex, tell us a little bit about yourself before we start talking about all the juicy stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. My name again, Alex Jean Baptiste. I am the Chief Nursing Officer at Family Health Center of Worcester, and I have always been a big guy. I've always really had uh, just really been tall and always the biggest kid in the class, and I never really had any concerns about really my weight or anything that was going on in terms of my health, just because I thought, I'm the big kid, so it's okay. So I really just kept doing my own thing. And I started noticing that I started gaining weight really when I started my profession as a healthcare worker, and that I was able to really go out and just I had money, so I was able to buy food and do my own thing. And I did visiting nursing, and I was able to eat food whenever I wanted to, and then just go home, and it was just convenient. So that was kind of my lifestyle, and that was what I did. Where I kind of started seeing some of the turning point is um, when my mother had gotten diagnosed with breast cancer, and that was many years ago. I actually had the ability to stay with her for 7 years while she struggled and battled through it. But one of the things that I noticed is that immediately she tried to change her diet and change what she was doing with her weight. And she continued to say, "Hey, I want you to eat healthier. Change the whole household in terms of like food and eating." And I wasn't having it, and it was like, okay, sure, you do that, and I'm gonna go to McDonald's. So that was kind of the experience for a while.
Mm,
But it did stick with me in terms of like that was something she wanted for me and wanted for my brothers and my family to uh, be healthier. So that was something that always just stuck with me along the journey. What I really realized is after she passed away, that I had this emotional connection with food, which I know a lot of people can
can
definitely
relate.
relate to.
Yeah, yeah.
So after she passed, I was eating, and I was eating good, because everybody kind of started bringing food on me. So and I'm like, yes, I'm sorry too. Thank you so much, and I will help you with all of that. So I was eating, and I felt like I was like, I deserve it because I'm sad and I can eat
Mm.
whatever I want when I want. Um, I soon saw that I was pushing over about 350 pounds at that point. And that was actually when I looked at the scale. I know I was over that. And it came to a point where I said, okay, I really got to take care of this because not food, but clothes weren't fitting me anymore. I
Mm.
wasn't feeling comfortable. Like it's just, when you get to that place. So then I went to my primary care. My primary care said, "Oh, we're gonna get you into a clinic. Like we got to get you to a weight clinic, and we're gonna get you fixed up." And I was like, "Oh, okay, this is easy. Like no problem." So I go to this weight clinic, and they're like, "Okay, we're gonna do gastric bypass on you." And I said, "Dope! Like, all right, surgery. I'm gonna be skinny. Like, like, how do I do this?" So we start meeting with like the doctor, and I meet with like a social worker, and then a food specialist, and then a nutritionist. Like, and I realized I'm meeting with the whole hospital, and I was like, "Yeah, I don't have time for this. Like, let's get this going." So I actually ended up telling them like, "I'm all set. I'm gonna do it myself." And they looked at me and they said, "Okay, so when you come back, we'll take care of it." And I said, "Wait," I said, "No, no, no, I'm gonna do it." And they said, "Sure, sure, Alex, but so we'll see when you get back. We're gonna work through it. And I think that also helped drive me to say, you know, I'm gonna do it myself. Like you can't tell
Right.
me I can't do something.
Mm,
So at that point, I decided that I'm gonna do it one step at a time because that's the only
mm,
way I know how to do things. Because every time in the past and trying diets and exercise and changing lifestyle is something that I have tried to do many, many different times throughout my life, and I've never
mm.
been successful at it. And I kind of told myself, like, I'm just going to do it. So, what I decided to do was really get on this tip of doing one thing at a time and then compounding that with other things. So,
Okay, so hold on. Before you get into
yes.
that question, now, what made you not be successful? Like, what do you think caused you not to be successful when you tried those different lifestyle changes?
I would punish myself. Uh,
Oh,
so what would happen is I would say, okay, I'm on this diet and I'm doing this, and I can't have this. And then whenever that this would pop up, like I can't have pizza or whatever it is, or we're all going out, and then I do it, then I'd be like, oh, I'm done with the diet because it's over. So that was the end of it. So it's like a one-time deal, and then once I failed that one time,
okay.
that was it.
All right.
And
Okay.
yeah, so I never gave myself the opportunity to fail.
Okay.
Uh,
All right. All right. Now
and
continue. Continue.
it's so one of the things that I ended up doing was I really started to work on my diet. I said, I'm not going to do this gym thing just yet because I used to do the gym thing and I wouldn't see results really the way I wanted to see them. But I knew how to lift. I knew how to do exercises. I knew how to do that whole gym thing because of my cousin and then his best friend, and I had tagged along many many times to just learn the whole exercise thing. So I said, I don't need to do that right now. The issue I have is with food.
Mm,
So I really decided the first thing I was going to do was just stop drinking soda and juice.
mm,
And I just drank water. And if I did drink juice, I decided that I was going to cut it in half. And so I would pour like half juice and then the other
half
half water.
water.
So water it down. And eventually, it's even to this point now today that I can't drink juice straight up. It's just too strong for me. It tastes like
Mm,
pure sugar. So I just can't do it. But it was probably the best thing that I did because I actually ended up losing about 20 pounds just from that. And I was
so
like,
how
oh,
long? How wait. So how long did you do that before you start seeing results?
so I started doing that for about a month and a half, about 2 months of just changing just water and also in the midst of that I was trying to make better food choices, but I wasn't focused on that. That wasn't my
Okay.
focus and that wasn't my goal. But um I lost about 20 pounds in that time frame, which was about 2 to 3 months. I then switched over into meal prepping and food. After I felt like I feel comfortable, I can just
Mm,
drink water and I'm good. And like I'm not going crazy or anything like that. I'm
yeah.
okay. Let me stack something else on top of that.
Okay.
So then I stacked on top of that food. So I started meal prepping for myself, and Alex don't know how to cook. Okay, so that's not what I can do. So I said to
That's
myself,
not your ministry.
no. So I said, let me think about how I can do this in a way that is sustainable
Mm,
and something that
keyword.
I can do
Keyword.
over and over again in a way that works for me. And what I ended up doing is I found food or things that I could purchase that were easy to make and that I could meal prep them really quickly and then I could package them and I would eat the same. And this is the key thing that was for me. I am okay eating the same thing over and over and over again
Mm.
the whole week. So I didn't have to worry about like, oh, I want lunch this and then dinner this and then like I just went on Sunday or Saturday night, cooked for the whole week, and I meal prepped the whole thing. And it was easy because it was all the same food. And I just kept eating that over and over again.
Now, did
Uh,
you rotate every week? So, like, you had the same thing for breakfast, lunch, dinner. Then, did you rotate like something different the following week?
yes. So like the following
Okay.
week, I would try something else. Like,
Oh,
but
okay.
it would be like, but sometimes your boy was a little lazy. So I would just like, I'll be like, that worked out great last week. So let me just flip this over. And I had extra in the fridge. So, as a guy, it's like, for me, it was just like, I tried to really think about food a little bit differently instead of it being just like this. I'm hungry and I am feeding myself. I tried to think about it as this is fuel for me to get through my day.
Mm,
And I just need to think about it like how much fuel do I need in my tank to keep going,
mm.
instead of thinking about it as like, yo, pizza is really delicious and I want that. Which everybody knows that's my love is pizza, and like I still battle with that today. So what I ended up doing was just meal prepping that, and then I just really just kept going with that. So, and within about 6 months in that time frame, I had lost about a total of 50 pounds.
Wow.
And that was really my first, like, what I would say, success with like weight and cutting down. But I still felt like I was a big guy, and I was, because I had just now gotten down from about 350, 360. So I was just basically like 300 pounds at that
Mm,
time. And I had set for myself a goal to be about 215 pounds. That was like where I wanted to be, because I was like, all right, that's going to be good. And that's the weight I want to be.
mm-hmm.
So I then got obsessed, really, I think personally, with the idea of trying to attain that goal. I really just got focused. And for me, it was really about being consistent, because the idea that I really drilled into my head is that, Alex, you've been doing this poor eating and all of these bad habits for 30 years.
Mm,
And if you think that you can change this weight situation in 6 months or 3 months, you gotta be kidding. Like, you gotta
yeah.
put some time in. So I said, I'm gonna put the time in. So that's when I decided that, okay, let me check this gym thing out.
Okay, wait. Before you get into the gym thing, let me go back to one thing. So when you said that you struggled, you the first thing you did. So basically, you started off with just cutting sugar in terms of liquid, sodas and juice, right? So
Yes.
now, how did you manage? Because previously you struggled with like once you fail or you failed, you just like quit. So how did you manage that now when you started with the soda thing? Because
Yes. So what I really, it was a mindset thing. I gave
okay.
myself the ability to now fail. I said that, Alex, as long as you're doing this 90% of the time, you're good. If you do it once or twice, like, it happened.
Right.
Stop thinking about, oh, you messed up and then this occurred, and then think about what are you going to do next to make the best choice then, not necessarily what just happened, because I can't change it. I already ate that or I drank that, and why beat myself up for it? uh,
Absolutely.
so that was the key, I think, for me, in terms of like flipping the switch.
So
um,
now what caused you to what happened that made you flip that switch? Like, did you read something or did you just wake up and realize that you needed to give yourself grace?
Um, I think really it wasn't I read anything or anything prolific occurred. I just said how do I stick through this? Because I
Okay.
am not going to be perfect. And just like I mess up on a whole bunch of other things, I need to give myself the opportunity to fail. So that was
Okay.
really kind of where that occurred. And I said, okay, like, and when that happened, the burden of trying to be perfect
Mm.
left.
Yep.
And when, I saw that ginger ale, I was like, but the thing was is that now that I knew that I could do it,
Yes.
the intensity of wanting to do it was, I was like, I've been drinking water, like I'm good, like
Right.
I'm on it, like why mess it up? I don't need that ginger. And I would literally tell people no, like I don't want it. And I start feeling empowered to say no. And people would be like, yo, you want this? Like I got this drink for you, I have this. And I'd say, no, I'm good. And what I started to understand, where other people who I used to admire and see them and say like, oh, we offered them this and they refused it, I started to understand where their stance was coming from and their mentality, because it's like, why? I'm
Mhm.
successful, like I'm winning, I'm not going to mess it up with this one moment.
Right.
um and
Wow.
that really started becoming more of like my mentality around, like even going out to eat, going out with friends and things like that. I set schedules for myself, which was, I was just eating really 3 times a day. It was basically intermittent fasting, but I didn't even realize I was doing that, because I forget to eat. I just work, 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 and then I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't eat today, so it's 8 o'clock at night. Let me eat
Mm.
a whole pizza and then I'll go to bed. That
Mm.
was how I would do things. So when I actually set a schedule, I found that I wasn't hungry at 8 o'clock at night and I didn't need to. And I would just eat in the morning, when I'd wake up, and then I'd eat in the afternoon, and then I'd stop at 5 o'clock. Like, but I had a schedule and I had the food with me. And when I mean I had the food with me, it didn't matter where I was going. If I was traveling, if I was in the car, like it's with me and it's ready to go. It Because I knew that if I didn't travel with it, or I didn't have it, it left me open to the opportunity to buy something.
That is so key, and I am so happy that you realized that very early on, because I think you were basically not protecting yourself, but you were preventing yourself, setting up ways for you not to fail. You know what I mean? Like, so you knew, hey, these are my weak points. Let me do X, Y, and Z so that if this were to occur, like I won't like fall, or like fall back to what I was doing before.
Yes. And I will definitely also say that there were moments where there were falls, but
Absolutely.
that didn't stop me in terms of like, I didn't get off the horse and I didn't change, like I stuck with routine.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I tried to make the routine my friend, in that it was the most comfortable thing for me to do because I just
Yep.
kept doing it over and over again.
Right. Right.
Um,
Right.
so ready for the gym story?
Yes, I'm ready for just. I think I asked all my questions for now for the eating part.
Okay, so after I felt I was in a better place with my food situation, I did notice that I wasn't losing weight like I was before.
Okay. It
And
kind of plateaued a little bit.
yeah, and then I'm like, because I was used to seeing the numbers come off in a certain way,
Mm.
and then it was like, this is not happening anymore. So I was like, what's going on? And then I realized, well, I'm still sitting down, not doing anything. So I realized that I needed to go to the gym. So I ended up going to Planet Fitness because it was close to the house and it was cheap. And I was like, okay, let's go. And it was 24 hours.
Mhm.
So I said, okay, let me do this workout. So I started to recreate some of the workout routines that I had seen my cousin do, and Joel do, and try to recreate them. And I started to see some results from that, and I started to continue to lose weight. Um, but very shortly after that, I also realized that I was plateauing again. and there was
Ooh.
a secondary plateau. So I started perusing around trying to figure out like what's a new workout, and I started realizing that I started like watching workouts and like getting interested in like fitness and like health and like all of these other things that normally you wouldn't catch me doing. Um, because I was always like, I was like, that's great. Like, there's a video of you lifting heavy things. That's very nice.
Yeah, kudos.
But yeah, like, good job. And but now I'm like, oh, do you see that? Like, oh, he's so clean with that. I need to try that. And
Right.
and then I just started finding myself kind of falling into this world of that I had never experienced or even thought of. Um, and and that's when I realized like, oh, I'm on like a new journey. Like I'm doing things I never did before. I'm trying different things. This is very interesting. Um, I ended up falling on CrossFit and
Mm.
started to see how the workouts were designed, and I
Mm.
started to see how there was high intensity, and then there was also lifting of weights. Which for me, I wanted to lift weights. I knew that, but I knew I was missing the cardio and the intensity of like running and rowing, like all kinds of different aspects of workouts. And so I ended up joining my local gym,
Hmm.
CrossFit gym, with being like point 0.4 to point 0.5 miles away from my house. And I say this because this is very key, okay? Because I set up a schedule for myself that I was going to go at 6 in the morning every day,
Okay. Okay.
regardless. And when I tell you that I would be having a conversation with myself at about 5:50 every morning about how I cannot go to this class that is
Listen.
literally the point four, like literally my clothes is ready, everything, like I just need to jump out of my bed and just go. Like I
Hmm.
prepared myself the night before because I'd already talked to myself,
Hmm.
and I was like, you're going now, go to bed. And then I'd wake up and I'd be like, you've been doing such a good job, okay? It's early. It's early and you're tired. And I
Yes.
think that that God wants you to rest today. And your bed agrees with you, this warmth.
Listen.
And when I joined, it was in November, December time.
Oh man, you're in New England, so you know it's cold outside. Ain't
So
nobody want
so
to go out in the
so when
cold.
I'm going outside, my car is cold.
Yes,
And it was the gym was so close that even if I got in the car and I drove there, the car
it
was
wouldn't be
not warm
warm.
yet.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
warm.
No.
So I knew this. So there was so many detractors, but
Oh, I love it.
because it was so close, it was always hard for me, even when and all the coaches know very early on in the beginning, I would always be there 5, 10, sometimes 15 minutes late. And they knew I lived around the street, like around the way. So they're like, "Why? What's going
What
on?"
happened?
And I'd be like, "No, I was sleeping. Like I was in bed. Like you need to be happy I am here gracing you."
Yes.
Because there was a long conversation about
That
me not
happened.
coming, and
Mm.
I started to be okay with that conversation occurring. But
Uh,
what I needed to do was get up.
mhm.
And I noticed that once I just stood up out of bed, I was okay. And as long as I stood up and then still just went, even if I was late, just getting there was key. But there was parts of the time where I didn't want to, even
No,
when
of
I would
course.
get up.
Hmm.
So I started to I recruited my best friend. I recruited Reggie. I said, "You're going to this gym and you're coming with me." And he's like, "What?" Like CrossFit? Like I don't need that. And I was like, "No, no, no. You're fat, and we're gonna go together." And he wasn't, but I was just like convincing him. So then he joined, and what ended up happening was that it actually then became a social event for me to see my best friend as
Mm.
well. So it just, I started to try to just make it more of a community activity where it's like all of the people that are there, like they know me, and like I know them, and it's like if I'm not there, they're like, yo, where you at, why didn't you come? And that was very helpful for me. I know other people can do the whole working out and like I'm dedicated, love the gym, all of that, but it was a struggle for me to even get to that point. um,
But I do appreciate your honesty though, because like again, this whole conversation is not always everyone's journey is different, but then I don't want this conversation to be like how great and glorious the journey is, because like there's ups and downs. There's like good days, there are bad days, there are happy days. You're like, yes, and not even just days, like just moments, right? Like
yes.
the moments you're like, this is awesome. Or even in the middle of a workout, you'll be like, why did I do this again? Like I could have still been in bed. Like, you know what I mean? You could have started off like really excited and then halfway through you're like, this
Yeah, let
is
me tell you,
horrible.
that is actually that, so that is that's always been my experience in CrossFit. Is I'm excited. I'm like, oh, I made it. And then I'm there. And then I'm like, why did I come here? This is
Right.
terrible. Because it always leaves you, at least for me, it always
Yeah.
made me feel like I was beat up after I left.
Yeah.
But after I started getting used to it, getting settled
Mm.
in, I started to compete with myself. And at that
Mm.
gym specifically, the competition is always with you. It's never with like whoever else is there. It's just yourself. You're competing with yourself. And they encourage that to put your numbers up, track your scores, things like that. Pay attention to like your successes. So then I got really into that. Like, how do I do this exercise or this workout faster? How do I lift heavier weight? Um, how do I beat my Apple Watch score in my, in my phone? They know me so well now that they're like, Alex, did you turn your watch on? And because I just leave it running, like, and the reality is that I end up, even after working out, like you said, feel so beat up that like I will, or so tired, or I'm just like, oh, this is terrible. I will go to the gym and I will work out at CrossFit, and I'll go in my car, and sometimes I can't move, and I'll just like
Yes.
I will fall asleep, and like I have no shame. They just are like, oh, there's Alex sleeping again, and then just go, but you know what? At the end of the day, though, I always would be super happy when I could buy, a shirt or something, and I'm like, oh, this joint fits. Like I'm in a regular store, like this is not the big and tall section. This is just like a store.
Yeah.
And that was that. Like those were some of those moments that you're mentioning
Mm.
that felt really, really good. So I did this whole process, and I don't want people. Some people might have seen me or not have seen me and thought like, oh, he just lost the weight or did something. But this was over 2.5 years of
Mm.
this.
Wow, that's
Um,
awesome.
and I ended up losing about 130 pounds in total. And I did reach that 215. And I was there, and it was really, really hard to be there. And I started to notice that, at least for me, I felt like I was like, yo, I felt a little sickly because
Mm.
it's the smallest I've ever been in my entire life. And
Okay.
at least in my adult life, I'll say that.
Yeah. No,
And
I feel you.
yeah, and I just felt like I was like, "Ugh," like I don't know if I like this, and it was hard too, also to
Hmm.
maintain, because just I think the way I got there, because like I was mentioning, I started compound. It was always a compound effect, so I
Mm.
just started adding more and more. I don't want to say restrictions, but just things to try to push um, the the envelope to make things difficult for me. And
Or
it
to make
got,
it more challenging.
or challenging, yes,
Yeah.
challenging to move forward and to get better results or more results. And I got to that point where I was just like, this is hard, and
Mm.
this is hard to maintain. And I felt a little bit like life was kind of just surrounding um, my my working out and exercise and all that, and I felt like I had engulfed myself in, like, I just went down that rabbit hole. And I kind of eased up a little bit, and I gained some of the weight back. um, and then COVID occurred, and then that just ruined lives.
Yeah.
And I have, I'm currently in the situation where, like, I was like, okay, I can't go to any gyms. Like,
Hmm.
CrossFit was closed. Um, I was always in the mentality that, and I always knew that I needed to go somewhere to work out. So working out
Yeah.
at home was so strange to me, and I was like, not doing it. Um, so, and then the food thing just kind of slipped because
Mm.
it was just like, okay, we're all stuck inside, and like, I gotta call, like, I can't go to a grocery store. I'm not going outside. Are you seeing these people who are wearing gloves and masks and then touching everything, and then, like, going, I'm safe, I have gloves on, but then they touched everything with their dirty gloves.
Yeah.
And as, like, a healthcare person, like, I was just like screaming in my mind. I was like, I'll just order a pizza.
Mm.
Like, I'm not going to expose myself. So there was months of that. And
Mm.
definitely gained weight back. And currently I'm in the process of having that conversation with myself and going back, like, let's do this again. Stuff is starting to open up. Let's relook at water and go, like, back to basics, like,
Right.
build on
Right.
your, like, how to do this types
Right. Like
conversation.
you said, yeah, you've been there before, you've done it before. Now you know what it feels like, you know what it looks like, and you can just start the process all over again.
Yes.
Oh my
But
goodness. So how much did you put on?
so far, it looks like it's about 55 pounds
Wow.
over
Okay.
the
The past 6 months.
COVID COVID experience, because
Okay.
no no real gym. I was back to just drinking and, like, sodas and water and juice and everything. Like, it just back to,
You fell back.
like I said again, 30 years of habit, and then that is still there, so I still
Yeah.
battle that. And, like, I had a really good mindset, and I was in a really good place mentally to
Right.
maintain that. But obviously, a pandemic situation kind of just allowed
Mess.
for me to,
Hmm.
yeah, it's just like, you slip back into it, really. And
Yeah.
it was a nice little slip, like, oh, just order some pizza, da da da. And I'm like, okay. And then the next day, it's like, oh, let's order some wings. Like, it was just like, and then next thing you know, I'm like 55 pounds heavier. Just,
Oh
but
man, I totally appreciate that honesty though, because like that is key. And I think that once we're honest with ourselves and honest with each other, then it's like it's good. It helps us realize like what our weak points are and understand that again, it's a process. It's not like a straight line. You know what I mean? And because you've been there, done that, and although you fell back, you can go back and do it again. So it's like, okay, yes, I went backwards a few steps, but I can still go back and start all over again, do the process all over again, and it's okay.
yes, I trust me. I know, like, I feel okay. I just know that how I got here, and I know how to fix it as well.
Right,
Uh,
right, right.
so
That's awesome.
yeah, and it's all up to me. It's like, I know that, there's always these, like, people are always, like, encouraging others to, like, hey, lose weight, do this, do that. And I realized that too, that, I had my mom who was telling me that, like, hey, cut weight, do this, do that, and I still didn't do anything.
Right.
It's really about when you are at a place when you're ready to commit and ready to go down that path and focus, then you'll be successful. But if you're not
Absolutely.
willing to focus and commit to it, just like anything, you won't be successful. So
Right.
that's kind of where, I settle in with myself and say, like, Alex, it's up to you. Like, nobody can do this for you. um no, like, you can watch as many YouTube videos of CrossFit games or World's Strongest Man, but that's not you. You're not doing that, so you have to get in there and actually put in the work. So
Absolutely. Absolutely. So what did you even try any did you try doing any workouts from home, and how did you like it if you did try?
I did, but it was
It
like
wasn't the same.
it wasn't like, I was like, yeah. So one of the things, like, our gym offered online, like, they had online courses like going the entire time, and like I would watch and like poke my head in, like, and I was like, you want me to run in my living room? I'm like, it's not designed for that. Like, I got people underneath me. Like, that's rude. Like, and that, like, just
Yeah.
nonsense. Just, again, more things that I would tell myself why I can't.
Right.
um, and just and I definitely bought into the whole, like, pandemic situation. Like, oh, everybody's relaxing at home, so I should too. And even though I wasn't necessarily, but it
Right,
was
because
just
you're
like, yeah,
working from home.
exactly. But it's like, like, oh, we can relax, but it's just one of those things that it's like, if you give yourself the excuse and you tell yourself
Mhm.
you don't have to, you won't do it.
You're
um,
right.
so it's a mental game, like that's what I found. It's all up here. And if you really kind of prep yourself to be successful and understand the mentality of that, you're going to try to detract yourself and even throw yourself off and give yourself breaks, and you don't need to, and all these other things. But if you hold yourself to a certain standard and say, I'm going to keep going and just keep pushing through, then you'll be successful. So it's all mental.
That is no, that those are facts. Now, so do you have now, especially now with this COVID thing, they're talking about like a second wave and third wave. I don't know what wave we're up to now, but like, what do you do you have any plans in place for like if that were to happen for you to be like, okay, this is my plan?
So I feel like I haven't mentally put myself in a place where to be successful. Like, that's why I'm being, I will
Yeah, you
always,
be honest. Yeah.
I'll tell you how it is. Like, I I know I'm not, like, I will be like, oh, second wave, third wave, guess we locked up, and that's just it. Like, I don't know, but but what I will say is that I'm aware.
Yeah.
So I can't ever say I'm ignorant to the fact and, like, oh, it's
Mm.
snuck up on me, because I know, like, and I know how I feel when I wake up in the morning. I know how, my back hurts more than it used to, my knees, all of these different things that were not issues, because now I've put weight on after being smaller, and now it's like, okay, you're putting weight on, and now you're adding stressors to different muscle groups and things like that are now causing you pain. So I'm aware,
Mhm.
and I think it's just, you have to decide, like, when enough is enough.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
and I guess it hasn't been enough yet, but I'm, when it's coming, this second wave is on its way. So when, I there will be a point where I will, um I will say, like, I need to get back. And then that, usually, when that occurs, then it happens really quickly for me, like.
Okay.
But
That
that's
no,
that's
that's
for me.
awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's good though. I mean, again, it's this is about you and your journey, and there are some people who can definitely relate to like that mindset. Like, okay, once I switch gears, I'm there, and I'm gonna go. But you know what I mean. So it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly fine. So now, what was I gonna ask you? So here's a question. So now, what would you say to any guy like right now who is like in a similar situation? You know what I mean? Maybe they're not like 350 or whatever, but maybe they're 250 or whatever it is. But they know that they have to change their lifestyle in some shape, way, or form. What advice do you have for them right now?
What I would say is, be patient. The idea of diets and lose weight quickly is very attractive, and that is the design of the health industry to sell you on that you can cut weight, lose weight, get sexy in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks with no work. And I'm here to tell you that doesn't work. That's impossible. And if you can do it and you have achieved it that way, that you're doing something that's probably very dangerous for your health. And also, it's your body's not designed for that.
Hmm.
So, in terms of why I say be patient, give yourself the opportunity to learn what you need and what works for you, because my system is not going to work for every single person, and what works for them is not going to necessarily work for me. Learn what works for you, stick with that, use that as your small victories, and continue
Hmm.
to stack your small victories into a larger, bigger win. But the idea that you're going to be whatever you envision in your mind a month from now is not the case. So, what
Hmm.
I would say is think of it more long term. What's your long term goal, and how are you going to get there? Now, there's going to be some parts along the way that you're going to achieve that you want to be like excited about for
Hmm.
sure.
Hmm.
But you know, going from belly to six pack is not happening in a month. And let's just like be honest with yourself, like, because if you're lying to yourself, then you already lost,
Right.
so just set your real life expectations and be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. And that's how it worked for me specifically. Again, like, just saying like, I'm just gonna drink water until I feel I have that under control, lock that in, then move to the next, and then lock
Absolutely.
that in, and then move to the
Mm.
next. So for me, it was a building block experience. But now I can say that because I built that system and that methodology for myself. It's like memory foam. Like now I just know I can just snap into it. It's not the same thing as when I first started. I can just go like, all right, I'm doing water only now. Oh, I'm meal prepping now. I don't need to necessarily go block by block for week after week. But in the beginning, I had to set that up.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. That's really good advice. Essentially, what you're saying is be patient with yourself. Um, which is something that you said earlier. Allow yourself to fail. Like, give yourself some grace. Allow, you know what I mean? Expect that in the journey, in the process, that there will be times for that to fail. And just oh, and what I would add is just like understand your journey is your journey. You know what I mean? Like, you can't compare yourself to other people, and what work for you, one person will not work for the next person. So all are very, very good advice. And I thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. And I definitely know that others will benefit from your story. And there's a lot of really good gems in there that I'm, like I said, that someone else will benefit from. So thank you so much. Keep doing what you're doing.
Yes.
Even with your busy lifestyle. But I know COVID has derailed a lot of us. And guys, just like Alex says, give yourself some grace. You know, if if for whatever reason you find yourself that you have derailed as well, you know how to get back. Just make a commitment, tell yourself that you're gonna start back over again, and it's okay. It's okay. So we can all get back on it. So thank you again, Alex. Oh, and do you want anyone to follow you anywhere on social that you maybe follow your journey or what have you? You want to share?
They can, sure. My middle name is Ryan, so my Instagram's RyanJB53. I deleted my other one by accident, and I was just like, well, we're gonna do this one now.
Yeah.
So that's why. Yeah. So if they want to, absolutely, and they'll find me there. So
Okay.
absolutely.
I must admit, when I saw the write, I was like, that face looked familiar, but that name is not familiar at all. Like,
Yes, that is
I
my middle name. That is my
was,
middle name.
I had to ask Jason. I was like, is this still like
Yeah, I'm
Alex?
still. It's still me. It's still me.
Yeah, okay,
It's
that's
still me.
totally awesome. So thank you again for joining. Thank you again for sharing, guys. And tune in, comment, subscribe, and so that you'll be able to get the next video. You'll be notified when the next video drops. So let me know what you're thinking and all that jazz. So thanks again for watching, guys.
Thank
Till
you.
next
Thank you.
time.
So, hi, thank you so much, Belinda, for having me. My name's Alex Jean Baptiste. I am a nurse by trade. I work as a chief nursing officer for Family Health Center of Worcester.
Okay.
I am a single male. Like, I don't know. Like, how do I fit that in? I don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying. Like, we just want to know a little bit about you. Just a little bit. I mean, if you're male,
Um,
like honestly, like you're probably like one of the very few single males. So it's like usually people are married or like they're in relationships or what have you. So I mean, it's nice to hear like a single male's perspective on their health journey too. So that was good. That was fine.
okay. I mean, if that's how you want to do it, I don't know. I don't know how you're gonna edit it like that, but
I may
that's
not.
fine
Who
with
knows?
me.
We'll see.
Yeah, no, definitely, it's fine with me. I don't. It's like,
No, it's cool. It's cool. I do like to share that because, like I said, what exactly what I said. Because everyone's in different phases. They're kind of like it can relate to different people in different ways. So it's
yeah,
important to know. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely
So
important to know.
yeah, especially when I first started, like down the struggle bus. That was why the cooking was such a challenge. Because it was just me, and it was like I gotta figure this out. Like, and nobody's like I'm gonna starve if I don't figure this thing out. So, um, well, I wouldn't have actually because I had found a home at the pizza place and McDonald's and Burger King. Like
Yep.
those were homes, and like that was it. So I just never really sat down to figure how to look at food differently than just like I'm gonna go to fast food or whatever. It's fine. And looking at it more as I'm going to try to feed myself the right things so that I can be successful.
Oh, that's awesome. And I didn't ask you one thing. I did not ask you was like, what were when you were starting a meal prep? What were some of the meals that you made for yourself?
Okay, this is going to be embarrassing.
Oh God.
So no, but honestly, it was so what I would do is I go to BJ's and like for example I'd buy like the quick like microwavable like rice, like the packets, like I would buy massive amounts of them. And I would buy the like the field wheat, like healthier version of it, because that was
Okay.
all I knew. I was like, let me buy that. That says it's healthy, so I'm gonna eat that. I'd get mixed frozen vegetables and things like that. Things that I could just like throw in hot water and it would be like, okay, it's cooked. And then I would
I
buy
love it.
and then I would buy like veggie meat so I could throw that in the toaster and like I would cook that. So like a typical meal honestly would be like a little bit of that rice, a bunch of the mixed vegetables, and then like two veggie meat like
Like veggie
pieces. And
patties.
yeah,
Yeah.
like veggie patties, and then like that would be like one thing. Sometimes I would cook like chicken or something like that, but it would be very like basic. Like I would season it because I'm not gonna eat it if it's not like I knew how
Yeah.
to do I knew how to do that much, but
Right.
it was. And actually now that I do remember, my grandmother and my aunt, for a very long time after my mom passed, were cooking for me as well. So
Oh,
they would cook. They would cook chicken in like actual like chicken breasts and things like that. And I would drive to New York to go pick it up and drive back because I didn't know how to cook. So I would drive
yo,
back,
listen.
and then I would just like and that was like me meal prepping. So I drive 3 hours down there, 3 hours back just to pick up food, throw it
That's
into,
awesome. But you know it's
throw
good
it in.
food.
Yeah. Oh well, this is my grandmother and my aunt
Yeah.
like this is throwing down, and I would throw that into the trays, like the meal prepping trays, and like
Mhm.
for me, so I would have the rice, have the mixed vegetable, and that was the meat that they would be giving me. So I did that as well. So I it just everybody knew, like I made it a fact that people knew like this is I'm doing this and like in my family, so they knew like don't be tempting me with no nonsense. Like either you're helping
Mm.
me or you're not. So my aunt and my grandmother, they were like all about it because they were like, oh, we're gonna help him lose weight, he's gonna be all sexy and whatever, and give me grandchildren and all of these grandbabies. So So like, I wasn't gonna complain or even dissuade them on their fantasy. So I was like, oh yeah, yeah, let's get
Yeah, yeah,
Alex
yeah. Yeah, give me
and
the food.
everything. Yeah, cool, let's cook for me. So that's what happened, and yeah, I was going out there and picking it up. So scary
That's no. Hey, but
when I
I
think
mean,
about it.
well, at the same time though, at least they knew that you had a goal and this was your goal and they were willing to help. Like, yeah, but and you were willing to drive and get it. So I'm like,
Oh yeah,
that I think that's awesome that they were still like willing to help you. They're like, all right, fine, we won't give you all the stuff that we know you really, really like, but you probably shouldn't be eating. So we'll give you the better
yes,
versions of it. So that's
yeah.
pretty dope. That's
So
pretty dope.
yeah, no macaroni. Like, and that was
Yeah.
like, that's depressing on my soul. So
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I drove 3 hours. Like, you could slide me, like just slide me
A
a
little bit
piece,
of mac and
like,
cheese.
but here I am walking in there. They're giving me like a whole bucket of chicken, and then I'm like smelling the mac, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, just run away. And that was it. Like, that was the struggle. That was it. You had to fight. I had to fight for it.
I really do appreciate your honesty though, because and I really like the fact that you still say that it's still a struggle because I want to iterate to everyone that it's not sometimes a lot of things don't just go away. It's a constant decision that you have to make on pretty much every day. You know what I mean? It's not gonna go away.
Yeah. For some, it does. Like, some people, they just get into it and then they're good. That's it.
Right.
But for me, like I said, I have a relationship with food which is a lifelong one. It's gonna be like, I'm gonna be older and I'm gonna be like, I'm sad, so give me a pizza. Like, I
Mhm.
know that's gonna be
Mhm.
a fact.
Mhm.
But I also don't want heart disease and high cholesterol and high blood pressure. So there's that thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially as a healthcare provider, you see those things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You've seen them. You see how it affects people, and maybe even family members have had it too, or have it right now, and you're like, you know what? I don't want that to be my life.
No,
So,
I don't. Yeah,
yeah,
I'm lucky. I'm not on any medication. I'm not on anything right now for any like heart issue or anything like that, and I want to try to stay that way ultimately.
absolutely.
So yeah.
And you weren't on anything either. What before you started all of this, you weren't diagnosed with anything either, or were you ever worked up
No.
for anything?
Yeah, my doc always thought like he was befuddled because he was just like, okay, you should have high cholesterol, you should have high blood pressure, you should have some liver problems, but my tests came back like I was pristine. So he's like, there will be a day that I run these tests and then it's going to
Mm,
look not like this. So
mm-hmm.
you're lucky, and
Yes.
I'm very happy that you're good. But that's what he would tell me. He's like, you're good. Your numbers look perfect. And then he would say, but one day I'm not going to tell you that.
Yeah.
So just be ready, because you're the way that I see all your other numbers, your weight, your BMI, they don't match.
Mm-hmm.
And at some
Mm-hmm.
point, this thing gonna even out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when we're gonna have problems. But
Right.
right now, you just happen to be in that small percentile where you have nothing going on. But
And lucky you.
yeah, lucky. Exactly. Very lucky. So I wanted to maximize on that opportunity while I was healthy,
Hmm.
to try to make sure that I give myself the best chance possible.
And boy, did you. So I'm really happy that you did what you did.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Me too. Now I just gotta recycle and do it again. Like, slide back in there
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
get back in
Absolutely.
there. So if we can
Absolutely.
tell COVID to go away, then I'll get on it.
It's true. It's true. So once you do, I really hope that you kind of like like document it like on Instagram. I document like we're nurses. See, so we're such nurses. Documents like keep us
I
posted on
I
Instagram.
will I will
Yeah.
document. I will document. Uh,
Document.
yeah, I'm gonna sign my name at the end of it too, so
Yeah.
it's real.
Absolutely. We're gonna have Jaco come and see it and everything. Make sure audit you and make sure that you're doing what you say you're doing.
Exactly.
Ah, all right then. Well, thanks again.